तो आगे बढ़ते हैं हम फर्स्ट 5 ईयर प्लान की तरफ। जो फर्स्ट 5 ईयर प्लान था उसका पहले एक देयर वाज अ रफ ड्राफ्ट दैट वाज रिलीज्ड बिफोर द फाइनल डॉक्यूमेंट, एंड people throughout the country were very excited because like we discussed earlier, there was nobody who was actually very much against this concept of planning commission and the 5 year plans. So people saw it as a new form, a new pathway, a new form of development, a new pathway towards development. So पूरे देश भर में लोग बहुत बहुत एक्साइटेड थे. The educated class of people, the educated section of people, be it businessmen, be it journalists, be it academics, these people were very much excited about this new thing called 5 year plans that the government had taken up. So the first 5 year plan actually witnessed a lot of excitement throughout the country. And जब इसका draft release हुआ था और जब इसका जो final document था वो भी release हुआ था, तो पूरे देश भर में तरह तरह के डिबेट्स और डिस्कशंस चल रहे थे इसके बारे में कि ये कैसे सही है, कैसे गलत है, ये क्यों सही है, क्यों गलत है. People were constantly discussing about these things, the things that were listed in the first 5 year plan. So this actually when the 5 year plan thing started, it started since 1951. The planning commission was set up in 1950. The first 5 year plan actually started from 1951, and since that time people were very much excited till the third or even the fourth 5 year plan. But then things kind of changed. We'll discuss that later. But let's see here, the first 5 year plan, उसका प्राइम मुद्दा ये था और उसका फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट मोटिव ये था कि it wants to bring the country out of the cycle of poverty. It wants to end the cycle of poverty, because poverty for India was number one challenge. It was a very top, it was something that the government gave a lot of priority to end that thing, to eradicate that thing. So the first motive of the 5 year plan was to end the cycle of poverty, or to bring the country out of the cycle of poverty. And this is how they went about doing it. So there was this K.N. Raj, who was involved in the making of the first 5 year plan. So he suggested that the government should take things in a, it should hasten with the development process, with the planning process, but it should do it in a rather slow and gentle manner, because if we tried hurrying up things way too much, then it'll cause situations that can endanger democracy in our country. So we shouldn't be very rapid or spontaneous with it. We should actually move forward in a very gentle and slow manner. So that is why, to start with, the first 5 year plan basically address the agrarian sector. सेकंड वाले में हम देखेंगे, सेकंड वाले में इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन को ज्यादा प्रायोरिटी दी गई है, उस पे फोकस किया गया है. और इसीलिए ये बहुत सोची समझी चीज है, बिकॉज द पीपल हु वर इन्वॉल्व्ड इन द प्लानिंग प्रोसेस, these were very intellectual people. These were statisticians and economists and people who were experts in their own fields. So they actually did a lot of planning work went into these 5 year plans. So the first thing was to address the agrarian sector, or to address agriculture. So what they did in agriculture is investment in dams and irrigation projects. तो एग्रीकल्चर को मॉडर्नाइज करने के लिए उसको, बिकॉज वी हैड वेरी प्रिमिटिव फॉर्म्स ऑफ एग्रीकल्चर विच रिक्वायर्ड मैनुअल लेबर way more than it required machines and tools. So this was the kind of agriculture that was followed in our country. तो अब लोग बहुत ही प्रिमिटिव मेथड्स यूज करके फार्मिंग करते थे. वो मैनुअल लेबर ज्यादा लगाते थे, वो मशीनों का इतना ज्यादा इस्तेमाल नहीं करते थे. उन्हें ना तो उस बारे में इतना पता होता था, ना तो उनके पास इतना पैसा होता था कि वो मशीन खरीद सके या वो इरिगेशन अफोर्ड कर सके. तो फार्मिंग जो था वो बहुत प्रिमिटिव था हमारे देश में. So, in order to modernize it, in order to reap more and more benefits out of agriculture or out of farming, so the government spent a lot of money, or it invested a lot of money in building dams and irrigation projects. क्योंकि अगर dams build होंगे तो उससे पानी आएगा, which can be diverted towards agricultural lands. तो उनको it will help in irrigating the fields, so there won't be any manual labor to put water to the plants manually by the farmers. So that actually reduces the level of manual labor that we're putting into it, and it increases efficiency in farming. So the government made investments in these things because it wanted to develop the agricultural sector and wanted to modernize agriculture. तो गवर्नमेंट ने डैम्स और इरिगेशन प्रोजेक्ट्स पे काफी इन्वेस्टमेंट किया था. The next thing was land reforms. So the government brought a set of land reform techniques which they justified by saying कि ये है हमारे देश में एग्रीकल्चर की प्रॉब्लम, ये है वो रीजन, सिंस वी आर द country with perhaps the largest population by now, and we're the country with the 7th largest area of land. So if we're not able to grow enough food crops for our country, or if we're lagging behind in some way, then there's something wrong with the country, then there's something wrong with agriculture or farming or say whatever. But we shouldn't be facing problems like this since we're such a huge country area wise. So कुछ तो दिक्कतें होंगी, और ये दिक्कतें ये है हमारे people actually the government listed these problems and the government listed the solutions of how to go about addressing these problems. पहला था लैंड रीडिस्ट्रीब्यूशन, जो कि हमने पहले भी डिस्कस किया था. द रिच लैंड ओनर्स हैड ह्यूज प्लॉट्स ऑफ लैंड. उनके पास बहुत ज्यादा, मतलब जितना हम सोच नहीं सकते उतने एकर्स एंड एकर्स ऑफ लैंड होते थे. ठीक है, क्योंकि वो किसी ना किसी तरह बाय सम सॉर्ट ऑफ इलीगल मीन्स वो गरीबों का जो जमीन होता था वो हड़प लेते थे. राइट, तो उन्हें कहते थे कि तुम्हारे पापा ने हमसे किसी जमाने में पैसे उधार लिए थे और वो चुका नहीं पाए, आज वो मर गए हैं और तुम्हें पैसा चुकाना पड़ेगा. अब वो बेचारा गरीब आदमी वो कैसे पैसे चुकाएगा, उसको पता भी नहीं उसके पापा ने कब पैसे लिए थे. अब उसको अपनी जमीन दे देनी पड़ी उस आदमी को. सो बाय मीन्स ऑफ, और प्लस वो जो एटलीस्ट द लैंड ओनिंग क्लासेस वर still more educated than, because poor people could not afford education. The poor landless farmers, the people जो लोग दूसरों के जमीन पे खेती करते थे, जो लोग दूसरों के जमीन पे एज टेनेंट्स काम करते थे, अपना मैनुअल लेबर देते थे जिसको उनको पैसे मिलते थे, या क्रॉप्स का ही कुछ अमाउंट मिल जाता था, दे वुड गेट अ शेयर इन द प्रोड्यूस. तो ऐसे लोग जो जिनके पास जमीन होता था बट बहुत कम प्लॉट का जमीन होता था और वो काफी गरीब होते थे, वो their financial condition would not be good. These people would not be able to afford education, so they are not able to make rational decisions or judgments. They don't know anything basically. तो जो land owning classes होते थे वो at least, and they were powerful since the British era, because these are the classes of people who actually served the British and who actually gained from, because these were people who were still powerful because they had huge acres of land, and the Britishers actually exploited our lands by taking raw materials from us and exporting it to Britain. So these people enjoyed a sense of political power since back then. उस जमाने से, उस टाइम से उनके पास ये पॉलिटिकल पावर होता था, तो वो पढ़े लिखे भी होते थे. अब वो किसी तरह बेचारे गरीब आदमियों को, गरीब किसानों को किसी तरह लूट लेते थे, कुछ समझा बुझा के, कुछ किसी पेपर पे अंगूठा लगवा के, कुछ करके उनकी जमीन अपने नाम पे कर लेते थे. So that is how these people actually came to acquire huge plots of land, while the poor peasants, the very lower section, the lower class of peasants, these had either no land or they had very small plots of land which was not very effective when it came to agriculture. तो इस प्रॉब्लम को खत्म करना था. एक तरफ लोगों के पास इतना बड़ा जमीन है और एक तरफ लोगों के पास है ही नहीं या तो बहुत कम है. तो ये जो गैप था, ये जो ह्यूज एक्सटेंड, ये जो डिवाइड था, इस चीज को खत्म करना था. because if you're a farmer, everybody should have more or less equal sizes of land, so that you can earn more or less equal amount of money from it, and nobody should be too rich or nobody should be too poor. You're able to earn sufficient means of livelihood from it. That's more than enough. So that was what land redistribution meant. लैंड रीडिस्ट्रीब्यूशन में क्या होता था कि गवर्नमेंट अमीरों जो जिनके पास बहुत पीपल हु हैड ह्यूज एकर्स ऑफ लैंड, उनसे उनके जमीन का कुछ हिस्सा लेके वो गरीबों में बांट देते, जिनके पास बिल्कुल भी होता ही नहीं था, जमीन बिल्कुल भी नहीं होता था, उनमें बांट देते थे. एंड दे डिडंट जस्ट डू इट इन एनी रैंडम वे, दे एक्चुअली डिड इट इन अ वेरी with a lot of strategical techniques, with a lot of sense. They did it. They did not do it just, they did not pick just any guy with huge acres of land and took away the land and distributed it to the poor. They didn't do it like that. They did it with people who were actually who actually owned more than they needed, or more than they were allowed to own when it comes to land. So we will see how the government basically do it in our later points about land reforms. तो बेसिकली लैंड रीडिस्ट्रीब्यूशन में यही होता था कि जिनके पास बहुत ज्यादा जमीन होता था उनका लेके थोड़ा सा पोर्शन गरीबों में बांट दिया जाता था. द नेक्स्ट थिंग इज कंसोलिडेशन ऑफ लैंड होल्डिंग. सो कंसोलिडेशन ऑफ लैंड होल्डिंग बेसिकली इसलिए था because when a farmer who has a sufficient plot of land and he has 2-3 kids, तो वो उसका जो जमीन है जो उसके नाम पे है वो अपने बच्चों के नाम पे कर जाएगा. अब वो किसी एक के नाम पे कर नहीं सकता. So he will divide it amongst his 2 or 3 kids or 4 kids, however many he has. So those kids will grow up and they know that they have this individual shares of that same land, and they will because they will put their control and their ownership in their own pieces of land. जो उनके पापा ने उनके नाम पे छोड़ा है, वो उसी प्लॉट को वो कंट्रोल करेंगे और उसी में कल्टीवेशन होंगे. तो क्या हो जाता है कि एक प्लॉट है, उसको हम फर्दर डिवाइड करते जा रहे पीढ़ी दर पीढ़ी वो लोग अपने बच्चों के नाम पे करते जा रहे हैं, एंड जनरेशन बाय जनरेशन it's actually shrinking. The plot of land is shrinking because it's getting constantly divided between their children. तो इससे जो है फार्मिंग इफेक्ट होती थी, बिकॉज जहाँ पे एक सफिशिएंट प्लॉट ऑफ लैंड है वहां पे हम मशीनें चला सकते हैं, वहां पे हम प्रॉपर इरिगेशन ला सकते हैं, वहां पे हम प्रॉपर मशीनरी यूज करते हैं. बट जब उस लैंड का साइज छोटा हो जाता है, ना तो हम वहां पे मशीन यूज कर सकते हैं, ना तो हम वहां पे प्रॉपर फार्मिंग टेक्निक्स लगा सकते हैं. सो दैट इज व्हाई this fragmentation of land had to be stopped. There had to be, the land had to be pooled together. So the land had to be pooled, right? So that there's so that farming is more effective. Because we cannot do effective farming in a very small piece of land. We need to have a large, sufficiently large plot of land where we can use machines and where we can apply proper farming techniques and where we can reap the most of the benefits. So that is why the consolidation of land holdings was important, because lands जो fragment हो चुके थे, जो टूट के उनकी ओनरशिप बढ़ गई थी, उस चीज को साथ में लाना जरूरी था. और उस पूरे प्लॉट ऑफ लैंड पे अगर एक साथ में कंसोलिडेशन हो ना, still those, even if we divide the profit or the revenue that comes from those crops, even if we divide it among the people, it will still be more than what they were earning in their individual plots of land. So that is why there was the concept of consolidation of land holdings. The third thing was land ceiling. So basically what land ceiling meant was, ceiling here refers to an upper limit. So this meant that there should be an upper limit, or there should be an extent till which an individual owns a piece of land. मतलब एक इंसान है, उसके पास जमीन है, उसके पास बहुत फैला हुआ जमीन है, तो that person is not entitled to that huge plot of land anymore. There's a certain limit, a certain extent, because अगर तुम अमीर हो भी, अगर तुम हद से ज्यादा भी अमीर हो, फिर भी उसमें एक रोक लगाई जाएगी कि हाँ तुम इस पॉइंट के बाद अगर तुम्हें इससे ज्यादा भी पैसे मिल रहे हैं ना, इस पॉइंट के बाद तुम्हारे पास इससे ज्यादा जमीन है ना, you don't need that. Even if you want to enjoy a very lavish lifestyle, and even if you want to earn huge quantities of money from agriculture by employing people in your farm and making them work for you, even if you want all that and even if you have all that, there's a point after which you don't need it, because you know, wealth is good, but you shouldn't have too much of it, because when you're having too much of it, वहां पे दूसरे साइड में एक बेचारा किसान है, उसको वो दिन भर तुम्हारे जमीन पे काम कर रहा है, उसको तुम ना ढंग के पैसे दे रहे हो, उसको ना तुम ढंग का शेयर दे रहे हो अपने प्रोड्यूस में से, so you're starving another person to death and you're enjoying benefits of something that you're not even working on. तो एक point तक वो चीज ठीक है, but then after that point you don't need it and you shouldn't be having it. So that is why the government, put a land ceiling or said that there's this upper limit, there's this, extent till which you can possess land. तुम इतने प्लॉट का जमीन तुम रख सकते हो, तुम इतने एकर्स तक जमीन तुम रख सकते हो. उसके बाद अगर तुम्हारे पास इससे भी ज्यादा है, if your plot of land exceeds more than what the upper limit set by the government is, so then the government will take away that, that portion that exceeds the limit. So basically, this is the plot of land that you have, and this is the plot of land that the government allows you to have. This is the upper limit of the ceiling that the government has put, right? So इतना तुम्हारे पास जो जमीन है, you're no more entitled to it because you don't need it and you still have it, and this much portion whatever you have is more than enough for you. तो गवर्नमेंट ने ये नहीं बोला था कि हाँ सबको इक्वल साइज मिलेगा या तुम्हारा सारा जमीन हम ले लेंगे. नहीं, if a person has a plot of land, they are very much entitled to it, but only till a certain extent. Even इतना जो plot of land है जो गवर्नमेंट ने तुम्हें allow किया है रखने के लिए, even that's more than enough to generate proper wealth for you and give you a very lavish lifestyle. But then after that, this portion, this shaded portion, this is something that you don't need. This is something that, that should be taken from you and that should be given to someone who needs it way more than you need it, right? So this was the basic idea behind land redistribution or land ceiling, because the government said that we need to find some way of bridging the gap between the rich and the poor. एक इंसान इतना ज्यादा पैसे कमा रहा है उसी प्रोफेशन से, और एक इंसान इतना ज्यादा डिप्रेशन में आ चुका है कि उसके पास कुछ भी नहीं है, तो वो सुसाइड करने पे मजबूर हो जाता है. दिस इज नॉट हाउ थिंग्स शुड बी. You're both in the same profession, one of them is earning so much, the other has nothing at all. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. And since because agricultural land it's not limited, there are such huge acres of land which which comes under agriculture, at least in that period of time. So if some people do not have access to any land at all, where does the land go? This is what the answer was. The land, there's this huge acres of land that's been hoarded by one person, way more than that person needs for their family to be properly satisfied with whatever money they are earning from agriculture. So that is why the government introduced this land ceiling and land redistribution thing. तो ये जो extra portion है जो उनके पास नहीं होना चाहिए, जो उनके सीलिंग के बियॉन्ड है, जो उनके अपर लिमिट के बियॉन्ड है, तो ये पोर्शन गवर्नमेंट लेके गरीबों में बांट देती थी. इट यूज्ड टू डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड टू दोज पीपल who didn't have access to land or who had very small plots of land in their ownership. So that is what land ceiling meant. Then there was security of tenants. So होता ये था कि जिन लोगों के पास people who are very rich because they had huge agricultural lands, तो वो अपनी जमीन पे खुद खेती नहीं करते थे. They were not farmers, they were just landowners. So we have a difference between landowners and farmers, and that is exactly what rich and poor happens to be when it comes in agriculture. So people who actually work in that plot of land, जो लोग एक्चुअली में खेती करते हैं, जो पौधे उगाते हैं, जो उनको नर्चर करते हैं, and they help in bringing out that final output, there are those people, and there are those people जिनका बस वो जमीन है, वो उसमें करते कुछ नहीं है, बस उनका वो जमीन है, उनके नाम पे है, तो वो उस चीज का पूरा फायदा उठाते हैं. वो दूसरे लोगों को अपनी जमीन पे काम पे लगाते हैं और वो उनको कमेंशरेट पैसे देते हैं, कभी कभी कम भी देते हैं, बहुत ज्यादा. But anyway, they just enjoy, the fact that that land belongs to them. So, these landless laborers who work in other people's land, these people are called tenants. तो tenants वो होते हैं जिनके पास अपना they don't have their own share of land, so they work in other people's land, they work as farmers in other people's land and they get money from it. तो ये जो tenants है जिनको काम पे लगाया जाता था दूसरों के जमीन पे, तो इनके पास कोई अश्योरेंस नहीं होता था कि इनके पास कितने दिन का काम रहेगा या इन्हें कितने दिन काम पे जाना पड़ेगा, कितने दिनों के लिए इनका लेबर जो है वो चाहिए होता है. These people were paid on a per day basis or a per week basis and they could be asked to leave any day. They didn't have any security of tenure. They didn't have any security that said कि हाँ तुम मेरे यहाँ पे काम करने आए हो तो तुम एटलीस्ट 1 महीना या 2 महीना या 6 महीने तुम मेरे पास काम करोगे, तुम इसी जमीन पे काम करोगे और मैं तुम्हें पैसे देता रहूंगा. ऐसे नहीं होता था. Even if they said something like that, that wouldn't be followed on practical grounds. If because the landowner can say to him any day that your work is no longer required and you can leave. You can leave because I don't want your labor anymore. So that person starts working in somebody else's firm, and now he's being evicted. Now he's being asked to leave. He's being evicted. Evicted का मतलब है उनको बोला जाता था कि तुमको काम करने की जरूरत नहीं है यहाँ पे, उनको भगा दिया जाता था लिटरली. तो because you don't have to work here, we don't need your labor anymore, तो तुम जा सकते हो. तो ऐसे बोल के उनको भगा दिया जाता था. So that is what evicted means. So so that person is now evicted. Now he doesn't have any job anymore. अब वो कहाँ काम करेगा? अब उसको वापस से he has to look for another person who has a huge plot of land and who has who needs people to work for him, which wouldn't be very hard to find because the landowning classes were such huge and very prominent. So but anyway, this is how the tenants used to be exploited. This is how उनका ऐसे exploitation किया जाता था. उनको ढंग के पैसे भी नहीं दिए जाते थे. So the government sets a minimum wage rate that if you're employing people on a per day basis, so there's a certain minimum wage that you have to pay to them. अब ये गवर्नमेंट सेट करता था, ये गवर्नमेंट रेगुलेट करता था और आम आदमी को इसके बारे में पता नहीं होता था. ये जो लैंडलेस लेबरर के क्लास के लोग हैं, इन्हें क्या पता कि गवर्नमेंट क्या पॉलिसी बना रही है, गवर्नमेंट ने क्या रूल निकाला, इनको नहीं पता होता था. इनको तो their world used to be limited to their family and their work and the people that they used to work for and the land that they used to work on. So these people didn't most of the times know about what the minimum wage requirement was that they should be paid. तो इनके जो लैंड होते थे, जो उन्हें काम पे रखते थे, उन्हें कुछ भी वेज देते थे which would be way below what the government regulated wage was. So these people were exploited in that way. Then they were asked to leave on any day. They were not given a commensurate benefit. They were not given a commensurate share of the produce that they are entitled to. So they were exploited in many ways. So the government wanted to fix this problem, and the government said that we're going to oversee the security of tenants now. तुम उनको ऐसे किसी दिन तुम उनको काम पे लगा के ऐसे किसी दिन नहीं बोल सकते कि तुम काम पे मत आओ कल से, तुम्हारी जरूरत नहीं है यहाँ पे. Unless you have a proper or justifiable reason for it, you cannot evict any tenant from your land just by saying that you don't need it. So this was the fourth thing about the land reforms that the government said, because we're going to protect the security of the tenants and we're going to oversee that you don't exploit them in this way. So these are our 4 land reform policies that the government basically listed in the first 5-year plan because it had to because it wanted to develop agriculture in every way, in not just the not just in the sense of the farm produce, in not just the extent of produce that you're bringing out of a farm, in also the in protecting the interests of people who are working in the agricultural sector. Unka condition, unka it wanted to develop that aspect of agriculture as well. Unke interest ko protect karke chalna was also a priority of the government. So these are basically what was there in the first 5-year plan. The last thing is the first 5-year plan wanted to raise the level of national income. So it wanted to raise the level of national income, which means it wanted because it wanted savings to go up. It wanted people to save more than they consume, and the level of consumption was already very low at that point of time. So the only way that people would go about doing it, only way people would help in raising the level of national income is by pushing up savings, because this was meant to encourage people to save more, कि लोग अपने पैसों को जो है उसको ज्यादा सेव करें, so that it helps them in the future, and so that it helps in inflating the national income. It helps in raising the level of national income, and so that was the last priority in the first 5-year plan. So this is basically what it all meant, and it was basically targeted towards the agricultural sector.